fun. went a little overboard with the Bobby Ryan excitement. Hey, I hope everybody can hear me right now too. I'm just realizing I just set up my microphone as I made a mad scramble from my television over to my office. But yeah, if you just see a guy talking to himself, just go ahead, throw up in the comments, be like, "Hey, asshole, your fucking mic's not on." Holy shit, that was fun. Yeah, let's get excited. I mean, what else are we gonna do with these preseason games? But yeah, let's jump in. Let's back up. Let's do the intro. Everybody, let's what do we call this? Let's call this episode 85. Welcome to episode 85, season 2 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. So yeah, let's talk about this preseason game. I again, I'm gonna be a little too excited, right? I'm gonna be more excited than I definitely should be right now. So, I I think it's just one of those things where recording these episodes right after wins is just gonna make this look like the most fun show in the world, and then, coming off what will most assuredly be the normal routine, where we're hurt and down and beaten. Those will be sad, depressing episodes. So why don't we enjoy this? Why don't we enjoy this right now while we've got it? Good to see Tristan. What's up, my man? I saw you were in the comments predicting overtime wins before this before this stream even got started. So yeah, Tristan, you get to go first here. Great game. Standouts for me were Stevens, Lindstrom, Osterley, Rasmussen, or is it? Should we go by the Chicago Blackhawks announcer, Rasmussen? I was so worried that he was saying his name, like Rasmussen was having such a good game, and I had to listen to that Chicago Blackhawks announcer get his name wrong so many times that I was gonna learn the wrong way to say it. And Pickard, hell yeah, man. Fucking brick wall after Grice came out. Pickard's gonna end this game. Let's do Pickard first, because we'll work our way to some of our I don't know, the standouts in a preseason game, right? Bobby Ryan, Adam Erne, those were fun numbers. But Pickard's actually gonna end this game, and I could probably get the updated number here, but especially after that overtime. This goals saved above expected is probably going to sniff 2.00. And considering Grice came out of the game with like a negative, oh yeah, here it is. Final numbers coming from Evolving Hockey: 2.27 for Calvin Pickard. Goals saved above expected, and then Grice is going to end the game with negative 1.72. Lankinen, negative 0.59. So I only bring those numbers up, and clearly we got to pull back when we're talking about goals saved above expected, because that's a season-long number where you make the real difference. It's where you can really see goalies stand out. But that's just to show you, what we saw between the three goalies that played today, how much better Pickard was. And I mean, the easy number is no goals against, right? But that just goes to show you, like, I mean, Pickard's still playing. He's still playing behind the same defense, right? So I mean, I guess that's where that stat to me is a little bit more important, and how it stands out. But there were the mistakes by Alex Cotton that I'll talk about in a second here that seemed to get cleaned up. And on the side of things where we're talking about the officiating, I thought was terrible in this game. And Pickard was the one who had to hold the fort down after two terrible penalties, and we came out of it clean. So high marks for Pickard, but through the, I don't know what period and a half he got, but that overtime, holy shit balls, was that a performance? And I don't want to let the comments get away from me here, but I mean, Pickard isn't really going to be fighting for like one of the roles for the Red Wings, but I I didn't come away from what we had seen through training camp and was like super excited for Pickard, but this is a performance where, I think we're all kind of penciling in a date or looking for a game or a weekend that's going to work. Like, let's go to Grand Rapids, get wasted at a couple of breweries and catch a Griffins game. Now you don't have to worry about which goalie's going to be starting after watching the Chicago Blackhawks game, because clearly Pickard came to play. And he'll be coming to play this year. But yeah, if I had to pick my MVPs or my 3 stars, I'm going my 3rd star is going to be Pickard. The 2nd star is Adam Erne. How fantastic is it to see Adam Erne, who I could call out a couple of names, but they called themselves out today on Twitter, so I'll let them just be. But people, and you know what? I did it too. I actually mentioned in my last recording, I said, the 5 questions we want answered. And we talked about Griffins stealing spots from Detroit Red Wings. And I put Adam fucking Erne on that list. And I feel like a fucking moron because he played great tonight. And clearly, like the competition level, we always have to take a step back. It lowers itself, even the motivation to, really kick it up a notch. Once you get in the regular season games, God forbid a playoff game, that's not there. It's not even sniffing it. But I always play that game. You could also play like dog shit. You could not have the 2 points that Adam Erne's going to walk away with. So there it is right there. So he did perform well enough to get those 2 assists. And again, I'm putting him as my 2nd star, 1st star, just for funsies. It has to be Bobby Ryan, I think, for everybody, because we're all watching this professional tryout and you've all got your fingers crossed. I have my fingers crossed. I still keep coming back to Steve Yzerman's words about this upcoming season is about minutes for the kids. And I can't imagine that the very next transaction, after this game, it's different. But before this game, I just couldn't imagine that the next transaction or acquisition we were going to make would be Bobby Ryan. After Steve Yzerman said that, this is just showing me that Bobby wants it so bad. And when you do these professional tryouts, it doesn't necessarily mean you're landing with that team that's giving you that tryout. I just think after this, if you're worried about Bobby landing a job, you will. I think now it's just, are the Red Wings going to give a roster spot to Bobby when there's other guys that we could be giving a shot to? And I don't know if the game is always who plays the best in the preseason. Do they get the roster spot? Because we've seen it in the past not go that way for some of our prospects. So I think we all love Bobby Ryan. We know the hardships he's gone through. So there's nothing against Bobby Ryan. But I don't know why we would make sure that we definitely keep Bobby. So I would just say to everybody, I think we can all be happy in seeing Bobby have the success. I think he absolutely is going to land himself somewhere, because who doesn't want all that energy for a low price? But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's tough to fill or find a spot for Bobby and have that align with what Steve Yzerman said. I'll eat crow, but I don't know if I need, I'm just trying to say, here's the stuff we know. We know Bobby's age. We know what Steve Yzerman said. We know what Blashill said. So where does Bobby Ryan fit? That's kind of where my head's at right now. So I think he's going to play his nuts off. And I think it's because he knows he may have to be looking for another spot to play. Now, could always play the game here. Sign Bobby Ryan, plays his nuts off all year. Boom, got a nice piece of trade bait for everybody come the trade deadline. Of course, exactly what I thought we would be doing last year before the injury. But yeah, it's right now the ball appears to be in Bobby's court. So I think that's where all the happiness is going to be coming from for this conversation with Bobby Ryan, is that he continues to play like this. There's literally no shot that he won't have a job once the NHL season starts rolling. All right. So I think I just rattled off and missed 6 minutes of comments. So let me skip through these a little bit here. Tristan, just to throw in Bobby Ryan comment, he does throw out there, just gets gassed pretty easily. I just think the selection for Bobby Ryan for where he's positioning himself has been fantastic. I think where his eyes are going, I think his awareness on the ice was fantastic, especially there was one play Ryan was throwing it down to Mitchell Stevens at the corner of the net, and it just barely didn't get to Stevens' stick. I think it's just one of those things that he's not only aware of where everybody is on the ice. I think he's fully aware of who Bobby Ryan is, and I think he's using that to his advantage, and he can put himself in the spot where he doesn't absolutely need to be the fastest guy on the ice. And he maybe that means shorter shifts, and that hurts us. But I think Bobby's at this point in experience wise that he knows how to use Bobby Ryan to his advantage. Michael Scripp. Game was televised. At least part of it was on the NHL Network. That's something to talk about too. What a bummer that was, because you're just trying to find a stream that would work, and then you're 10 minutes behind everybody else tweeting. And at one point after watching the stream and seeing people post highlights that I wasn't going to see actually happen on my stream for another 5 or 10 minutes, I just said, fuck it. I'll go watch the rest of this later. Soap Dish 999. Soap Dish, we had our conversation on Facebook. See you, man. Pickard playing well is great for us. Having stability in net in Grand Rapids is huge for the young guys to develop in front of. That is a fantastic point. You know, it's funny. We talked about that, my brother and I. That was about a year and a half ago, trying to prep for the Red Wings season and trying to find, how do you find goaltending stability? And that's when there were so many questions about Bernier and Greiss at the time. But yeah, like for Grand Rapids, that's going to be huge if this all continues. I think absolutely we can look at this game and say we could feel a heck of a lot better than what we saw from Pickard and what was going on in the red and white game. Jesus, can't think of the name of the easiest game that they have titled during the whole training camp. All right, Tristan coming back. Jan played above and beyond all my expectations. I believe he gets some good time in Grand Rapids. Yeah, how about him coming back on defense? And for anybody that was actually around watching the Pistons win an NBA championship, I likened his play to come back and prevent a scoring chance, prevent the puck going stick to stick. Looked like Tayshaun Prince back in 2004, stopping Reggie Miller. I do apologize for anybody that was rolling their eyes at the basketball reference. If Mike was here right now, he'd be pretty excited. But that was a hell of a play. That's one of those plays where you can liken these preseason games to the same thing. Like if you're going into a job interview, right, you've got to do something that's memorable, because even if you have a great interview, even if you play a great game of hockey, I think you still have to have those moments where they can recall them, as I'm doing now, to make sure that it's not about them having notes on you where they can make a full assessment. It's about when those conversations happen, when there's big groups of people. And this is more or less where I would compare it to, trying to land a job and you do something that stands out in your interview. There's going to be powwows with a lot of people, and you want somebody to bring up your name. And that's the kind of play that gets your name brought up in those discussions. And I think that's great for whatever his opportunity is going to be going forward. And then certainly I think it bodes well for whatever's going to happen for him in Grand Rapids. Just taking a quick look at the comments before I jump back into some of the notes I took here. I think Tristan, you're commenting on where I was. I'm impartial on Bobby here. Let's pull this up. He's great offensively, but there were a few times tonight he looked completely gassed, and I didn't skate after loose pucks. I guess for me, that's something that I when I was watching Bobby, I saw a guy that was skating hard. Could just be I'm not playing the right game, and play the whole take your eye off the puck. But if that was the case, and Bobby truly was gassed at certain points, and this is a cat who still put in a pretty productive night scoring wise, I'd still look at that and say, wow, can that fit on my bottom six? And can I finagle his ice time to make this work? Absolutely. And I think I think that's the main landing point, right? Bobby Ryan has a great night. We're not sitting here going, great, now we can fill out that first line. Who needs Jakub Vrana? We're just talking about Bobby Ryan landing his next job. And I think certainly there was nothing he did tonight, in my opinion, that would have the rest of the NHL going, no, I don't keep that $800,000 contract away from my books. I need I need something else over here. That's where I'll land on Bobby. Is he certainly did enough to continue the conversation of will he land his next job. Michael Script, thank you. All right, I don't feel too old. Somebody else. That was an epic block by Tayshaun. Certainly one of my, I don't know, probably one of the, can I say it? Can I be hyperbolic here? One of the greatest moments in Detroit sports history. I think especially captured in a single photo of just seeing Tayshaun fingertips on the ball for Reggie Miller. Oh yeah, soap dish. There we go. Any Detroit sports fan would appreciate that Tayshaun block. Thank you. All right, I feel better now. All right, so who else did we not talk about here? I think I'm gonna feel a little bad about this, but shoot, we got to talk about Alex Cotton here. I have a couple of things going, and this is going to be man, I this is not going to be fun for Alex if he sees this. Only because I mean he really did put himself out of position too many times, and gosh, this is going to take me a second here to pull up, but. For anybody who's not watching on YouTube and you're listening to the podcast later, basically what we're going to be going over, and this is why I encourage you to come on over to YouTube channel. Just a couple photos that just illustrate, I guess, is a good way to put it, even though this, I guess, an illustration would suggest a drawing. We're going to talk about how Alex Cotton was getting himself out of position and just looked really bad in the first couple of periods, I would say. And then he did redeem himself, so I'll throw that out there. But let me see if I have these organized properly. I apologize here. Oh boy, this is gonna get ugly. All right, so we've got the Kubalik goal here. The main problem I think starts here where Cotton, as you can see, kind of in the middle of your screen if you're watching on YouTube again. He's already put himself out of position. So this is where we're still a couple of beats away from this shot even getting on net. But once the puck does get over to Kubalik, like think about where Cotton was a second ago and how much space Kubalik has now. And this is something for us. Like I think now we know like how far away Cotton really is from getting a spot. And it's not, again, I'll say he did pretty well in the third period on the power play. I was pretty impressed with how well he was moving the puck and just moving his legs and skates. But defensively, nothing I was too impressed by. Now this is the Hagel goal. Pretty much what we're looking at here, this first shot. You could see in the back left here how far out of position Cotton is. He is, I would say, he's definitely the furthest Red Wing from the puck. And as a defenseman, that's something you want to see. But it all started back here where he got himself out of position. And I'll ask this to all you guys that are watching. Now, am I like concerned about him as a prospect? No, I think he's got to get more time playing against competition like this. But I was talking with my buddy Jesse, who does he used to do some of the blogs for Red Wings Rant when we were doing that more often, and we were texting back and forth, and he mentioned he did like seeing the aggressive defensive strategy, and I guess this is where you have to make that choice because he was talking about pucks being loose and always having a couple of Red Wings on top of the puck, and I think this is where it backfired. And where our defensemen are making the wrong choices. But I think it's a clear change in the strategy is that they are trying to get a couple of guys on top of the puck at all times to try and win some of those loose battles. And I think this is just where it backfired. So this is more or less Cotton learning, all right, this is not when I want to make those choices or decisions, because those plays do follow along with what we tried to do the rest of the game and what ended up being successful in a victory for the Detroit Red Wings. Little ditty there that I had to give the nod to Jesse there because he was the one that was bringing it up to me. And then when I was looking back at those photos of Cotton being out of position, I was thinking, holy shit, that's just going in the same direction. It just failed. We just chose the wrong moment to double the puck carrier or go after the puck. And you fault the player for not making the right choice on when to do it, but I'm not sure that I'm quite there to fault the strategy because, I mean, we're here talking about a win. So just another little ditty to kind of think about it as we roll along here. I see some Hirose mentions. Soap Dish. Hirose is another guy. Key to developing young guys in Grand Rapids. He knows how to play with skilled players. He can help a guy like Raymond a ton too. Silver 3344 Rose will be a player that gets lost in transition for the team rebuild. He's already 25, so chances are he won't realistically see much of him in Detroit. For both of those comments, I completely agree. And in the last couple of episodes, actually was touching on Hirose, and it does feel like time has passed. And at this point, yeah, I mean, he might be fighting to lock up a spot in Grand Rapids, and his deal with himself now is, what can I do to help this organization develop players going forward? Because, he's a cat that would have had to really stand out on special teams, because that's a spot for any of these guys that would be sniffing for like a bottom six role. They've got to stand out either on the penalty kill or on the power play. And I don't just mean, are they competent enough to be on the ice? I mean, they've got to stand out in the preseason, and Hirose's got to go above and beyond, because we've already tried it a couple of seasons. So I would say that's more of like the philosophical side of things instead of just looking at the player and his skill ability, because we've seen the skill work himself into position. We've seen the skill work out to put Hirose, in last season when we were measuring his statistics, he was still in the top half of the team for expected goals, but eventually it just completely fell off. And we're not sure if that was just confidence dropping, but he started off hot. And when the finish isn't there, when you're talking about getting those scoring chances and the finish isn't there, I mean, we don't know exactly what's going on in the players' heads, but again, I think we saw him drop down. He was one of the worst players by the end of the season in expected goals for percentage, which of course is measuring the expected goals for and expected goals against, and giving us a percentage. Anything above 50 would mean he's doing more for, less against. But of course, if he's in the bottom of the franchise's statistical listings, he's not doing great. So. That's where I'm going to land on Hirose, because we also talked about him in the last live episode. And I again, there's a lot he would have to do right now to kind of prove, I think, to this team that he deserves another shot. Because when I'm putting together my roster, it's tough, man. I really wanted to see Chase Pearson get a shot at the fourth line, but holy fuck, did Mitchell Stevens play nonstop today. Week 3 of football is in the books, and now it's time to review the tape and get ready for Week 4 with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off another action-packed week, DraftKings is giving new customers $150 instantly when they bet $1 on any football game. Listen up, because you don't want to miss this. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app now and place a bet of $1 on any game this week to receive $150 in free bets instantly. If Sportsbook is not yet available in your state, DraftKings still has huge cash prizes up for grabs all season long with their daily fantasy contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to receive $150 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That's promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required, one per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. And I can't believe we haven't even talked about him yet, but Tristan, you were saying in the last episode, the last time we recorded live, how fast he looks, but man, just this goal for Mitchell, I don't know if I want to put you guys through more torture here of me trying to pull up a fucking photo, but I guess I could try it. But what we saw from Mitchell was I don't know, it was just more of what we saw in the red and white game, and I don't know if that's we tried to temper our excitement, right, with the red and white game, because it is what it is. We're just talking about an exhibition game. We're still talking about an exhibition game, but I mean, if Mitchell Stephens is not necessarily going to make a routine of scoring goals, because I know how ridiculous that sounds, but if he's going to make a routine of putting himself in these positions, making himself open and creating these opportunities, and then goddamn, can we say, at least through 2 games, can we make the joke that this is like the Helm upgrade of the guy who gets these breakaway opportunities and the finish is there? I'm sorry. I know Helm has his moments. I know we have our conference championship moments, but let's have fun, right? Stephens finishes these goals, and that's the kind of thing that we've been missing out on. But yeah, this was something for me. Of course, we loved the shootout goal from Bobby Ryan, but this was my favorite play of the game. High marks to Stephens, and man, I think what for most of the game it was we're talking about Hirose, Bobby Ryan, and Stephens, and we've already mentioned a couple of times that Stephens and Bobby Ryan were like this close to netting another one. And again, I'm going to say that's all about the veteran side of things and the communication and the awareness that Bobby had. But Stephens, we're going to talk about a guy that knows how to play as Mitchell Stephens. That's this guy, right? The guy who plays to his own strengths. And this is a guy who did it, and it just seemed to work out for him tonight. And it just seemed to work out for him in the red and white game. How many more times are we going to say it just seems to be working out for Mitchell Stephens before we just go, all right, lock him up, 3rd or 4th line, I don't give a shit, just make sure he's on the ice. We'll be at that point soon enough, right? All right. Tristan's right there. Stephens is now one of my favorite wings. Grew up in my home, away from home. Peterborough. Oh boy. All right. Yep. Tristan, hook, line, and sinker. We're going to be seeing the Mitchell Stephens jersey on Tristan any day now. Let me back up here because I think there's Jan conversation. I would argue Jan was noticeable too. Seems like Stevie is building off his previous picks. Didn't get their due chance in Tampa, and yeah, got to throw out there. Tristan did say that earlier, so I'll help you out there, Tristan. But yeah, basically, Silver 3344 was where I was going with the Tayshaun Prince conversation. Was Jan making that amazing stretch to block the pass, and that's where you can have a good game, and like I said, you measure that. You have a complete analysis of these guys by the end of the preseason to figure out where they're going to land. For for the sake of Jan, what is he going to be doing for Grand Rapids? But you make those plays, I think, to stand out. So when those guys are mucking it up, and when I say those guys, I mean front office boys, when they're talking as a group, you've got to have something you've done in these games to make sure your name does come up in a positive way. And I think that's the kind of thing that is going to ensure Jan stays on everybody's mind, especially, this is the first preseason game. What's he going to do in the next one to make sure he's still standing out? And I think that's huge. And the game I will never stop playing. And for anybody who listens to every episode, you're rolling your eyes right now. But you always got to think, for anybody that could overblow one play or one situation, just think on the opposite side of things, how that feels to go the other way, or what we're thinking for the guy who can't keep up, what we're thinking for the guy. For Alex Cotton, geez, for Shine. Shine, I think, was his stats look awful. I think Shine's going to go down as the worst performance today through advanced analytics. He had a couple of moments where I noticed he was out there, but most of the time I would say it wasn't my cup of tea. And let me pull this up here. This is me rolling through Evolving Hockey as I'm speaking, so just forgive me here. Brought up the expected goals for percentage earlier in the show. Hate seeing this. Worst on the team, Kirill. Second worst, Dominic Shine. So there you go. I mean, you just kind of roll through Giovanni Smith, Carter Rowney. The only thing is too, Jan had that great play. He's also at the bottom of this list too. So this means that they did get severely outchanced with how low the expected goals for percentage is. So that's not anything that's boding well for these guys and what's next for them. But it all, this is something too where I'm looking at these numbers now, and it all depends on when they actually hit the ice, who are they playing against, and that is figured into the expected goals for percentage, like the quality. But we could still be looking at too many instances where things are starting against them. I guess if I want to put it as them starting in the defensive zone, of course you're gonna have more chances against you. Something I haven't looked at yet, but just bare bones taking a look at those numbers. Not anything I'm going to be too excited about, but like I mentioned, you have those front office conversations. What's going to be mentioned first? Expected goals for percentage, or my man laying out, tell me on the ice, knocking the puck away. We all know the answer, right? Let me just take a quick peek here. Soap Dish going in on Shine. Good grinder for Grand Rapids. But he was in above his head. Look at that. Soap Dish, you and I. All right, we're syncing up here. Did we already talk about the Sabrango save? No, we did not. I put Sabrango on my he was actually, out of the 10 guys, he was my number 10. So keep in mind, there's probably only 2 of these guys for this list that would actually make the team. But I said the Red Wings prospects who I think could actually, through a bunch of injuries, what have you, at some point get at least one game this season. Sabrango was on my list only because the coaches always speak so highly of his maturity. So he sees himself as like this hybrid of, and I love the way he put it, but from a skill perspective, he sees himself more of the modern hockey player, but from a grit perspective, he sees himself as like an old time hockey player. And I mean, these are Sabrango's words, right? So when you hear that, if anybody else said that about him, you'd be like, "Holy fuck, this guy's like the best hockey player ever." He's like Probert and McDavid. But anyway, I guess that doesn't make sense because we're talking about a defenseman. But you know what I'm doing. But Sabrango for me is somebody I'm excited about because the coaches are always talking about his maturity, that he goes out of his way to go figure out what did I do wrong. So I think for Sabrango to have a pretty good start to all of this, it's only going to get better because I think he's going to be the first guy to go up to Blashill and try and figure out like what are the next moves here. And by the sound of it, and the way that he comes at these with probably a level of maturity that I've never come to with any of my former jobs. I stand in front of you today with a webcam and on YouTube, so clearly it hasn't worked out, my attitude. But for Sabrango, it'll work out. I think he could have those opportunities to, when those coaches are looking for somebody to fill in for a game. I think mostly they want to make sure guys aren't just going to go up to the NHL and get absolutely lunched. But I think there's also a level of, who's the guy that's earned this based on, let's jump out of hockey for a second. And I know this kind of sounds like we're giving trophies to everybody kind of mentality, but if Sabrango has a level of skill that's noticeable and he's every coach's favorite player, come on. I mean, at some point, right? If it's not this year, it's next year. And let's not forget that he's speaks with Steve Yzerman in the front office, and he's the first rookie to sign in the last draft class. Whatever he's doing it right. I'm a fan. Let me jump in here because Silver, you got the conversation started. Tristan, I think Sabrango made smart decisions when not to jump in on the play. Played solid, and let's not forget Sabrango is cleaning up a lot of Alex Cotton's messes. I don't want to rag on Cotton too long, but I really do think this was a game where I don't know if we're gonna see Cotton again because those first two periods were so bad. To be completely honest, it's preseason. This is what you do. You want to see if they can improve game to game. But that was a really bad game. But Sabrango, if anything, I'd like to see him play with somebody else, which would be the reason why God, like if he looked, let's say fine, and he was still cleaning up the Cotton messes. You know what could happen if his playing partner stepped up a level and stepped up to just being at Sabrango level kind of thing. Like, what does that look like? So that's where I just can't stop being, I guess, excited for Sabrango. I don't want to use. I'm impressed by his maturity. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think he earned, main roster spot. I don't think he earned anything tonight. I think all he did was just make me feel more confident, I guess, in my pick at him being in my top 10 prospects this year that could possibly get one game in Detroit. That's where my confidence level is at. So yeah, I guess that's where we can land with Sabrango. Soap Dish 999. Sabrango could, I'm going to say, be that guy who no one knew would be as good as he becomes. Good in Grand Rapids at 19. Again, yeah, everything we heard about him from his coaches last season, it just couldn't have been more impressed by his maturity, especially at that young age. And I think that's how that cat gets the first contract out of the draft class. You need some draft picks to outperform the draft stock you spent on them. He could be one. Yeah, I think a lot of questions I think are going to be left unanswered by the end of this season because you bring up that point and you start to try and find like, well, who's our second rounder that's going to look like a first rounder? We've got Bergeron and waiting. I don't know if even if he gets an extended playing time, if we're going to get any of those answers. But I love that we can at least look at Sabrango after this game and kind of say, okay, here we go. What was he, 5th, 6th round? That would be a huge jump. So yeah, a lot of things making us feel good. A lot of things getting me excited for the next preseason game. I think if I go back to my list here, I think I at least mentioned everything I wanted to mention here. Oh, the power play. Hey, guys, we crossed the fucking neutral zone and made it into the offensive zone for a fucking power play. All right, now I joked on Twitter. I said if you guys want to follow us, it's at BOD Hockey. I joked on Twitter that Alex Tungay looked over at Jeff with our power play that we got at the end of the third period there. While it was 5-1 power plays in favor of Chicago. How about real quick? That game was fucked by the officiating. And I can't believe we won because that was clearly one of those, like, the officiating to me looked like, well, let's give the Chicago fans something to be excited about because it's the first preseason game. Who gives a shit? They can go home happy. That's what that looked like to me, to be completely honest. I will be a conspiracy theorist. I'm very little, but when it comes to the Detroit Red Wings and things going against them, 100% of the time I'm on board for conspiracy theories. Any hoozles. Power play looked competent. We didn't put anything in. So I guess you could make an argument, maybe that empty net goal at the end of the game was, I guess, using those principles. But anyways, power play looked competent. I can't get too excited about not putting one in the back of the net, but and correct me if I'm wrong. That was just a straight up empty net goal. I wasn't missing anything there, but yeah. So this will sound really dumb on the podcast if it was power play and an empty net goal. But yeah, I like the movement of the puck. I thought we had good chances for guys who are not. I mean, like, how excited are we to see Lucas Raymond on the power play? But we're talking about a couple of power play units that didn't have Lucas Raymond, didn't have Dylan Larkin, didn't have Tyler Bertuzzi. I mean, we did get to see Adam Erne, but I think we're all still, we're all still excited about Pew Suter. We're all still happy to see Fabry on the power play. He's been one of our standouts the last couple of seasons. So, yeah, all those names mixed together, we didn't see a single one, and I thought the power play looked pretty good. So what do? We take a step back. We go, wow, how did this look good? How are we making it through the neutral zone into the offensive zone? These are successful transitions on the power play. We're not just dumping chasing. All right, we made a huge change. Alex Tungay's in. He's making some decisions now for the power play. Well, actually, every decision. So let's say this. It looked good today. I'm going to stick with competent. I'm not going to say great. I'm not going to say amazing. We look competent. We look like a normal power play across the NHL, an average power play. How about that? So let's see if this continues. Let's mix in some of the guys and who've been our main power play, been a part of our main power play units the last couple of years. Maybe we find out they're not actually who we thought they were. Do the opposite of Dennis Green here from Minnesota Viking days, and let's just right now be happy that it didn't look like complete dog shit, right? I think that is the improvement. Let's not have it struggle to enter the zone, which if you guys go back to my 5 questions entering the first preseason game, it's our last video. I highly encourage you guys to check that out. One of them was, will our power play not look like dog shit? At least through one game, it didn't look like complete dog shit. Shots on net, transitioned. It was fine. And that, if I could, since I've taken a dump, speaking of shit, since I've taken a dump on Alex Cotton this entire recording, go back and watch that. That was probably my favorite, 1 minute of Alex Cotton in the entire game. Could highlight maybe where his skills are. Could highlight that he knew he had such a bad couple of periods that he needed to step his game up, which is still a good thing. That's a positive that he charged himself up and was ready to go. But watch him move the puck around on the point, get some opportunities set up, and fired away himself. Cotton was aggressive on the power play there, and I liked it. I thought it looked really good. And 2 ways to be excited about that. Again, the power play was set up to find a couple of extra opportunities led by Cotton. The other reason to be excited, Cotton played like shit, and he didn't redeem himself, but he played a little bit better. So high marks there on the power play. All right. So we do have Tristan. The officials were actually absolute dog shit. Don't pull your punches. All right. Yeah, that was shit. And before I say it, I'll give the credit to Silver. Last 2 calls warranted stupid interference on at whistle. All in. Refs were so bad. Zadina and Vrana power play will be much. It's the upgrade to have Zadina and Vrana. Yeah, and thanks, Tristan. How about probably the 2 most exciting names for the power play are the 2 that I didn't even throw out there. Hopefully we'll find something out about Vrana. Jesus, that was my honorable mention for the last video. I guess it probably warranted some explanation, but so top 5 questions to be answered in the preseason. I figured I'd play that game if Vrana was there, but clearly it had to be an honorable mention because that's going to affect a lot. That could affect the whole Bobby Ryan situation. Do we want to just have, if we didn't have a prospect slotted into the roster and now Vrana's gone and we need to kind of move everybody up on the wing, does Bobby Ryan come in at that point? Kind of conversation. Soap Dish, I think we have the talent to score on the power play already. Just need to set up with some consistency. Our entries and setup have been garbage for 3 to 4 years now. For perspective on tonight's power play as well, maybe 3 of the guys were dressed tonight will even be on our power play. Right, and that's a fantastic point. Like, if we can look competent, and I think, again, I'll really push this point from a strategic perspective, this is where we want to see what this looks like once we've got the real boys rolling, right? Does everything kind of fall apart? Was this because of Chicago's penalty kill maybe being complete dog shit? We'll find out. But at least we can go through one game and say, all right, we had a plan. It wasn't dump and chase. We held on to the puck. Got some shots on net. They didn't go through. Nobody's power play is 100%. But again, I think main point here, don't look like dog shit. Tristan, I think Cotton can be sneaky good with some development. His offensive upside seems quite high, and his skating is quite good. Absolutely. Anybody who missed any of this, go back, watch that power play with Alex Cotton, and if you watch only that, you'll be like, what the fuck was Matt talking about? Cotton was amazing. I really do think he looked like he was in his element on the power play. And I think, again, to Tristan's point, that's where the upside is, right? It's offensively. At least that's what we saw tonight. Tristan, I'm right here with you on this one. And this will be, I think we're going to have to wrap up here because I'm probably, this is right now for anybody listening to the podcast. So this would be you tomorrow. It's midnight right now. I've got my kids that are actually sleeping like the good little angels they're supposed to be, and I'm gonna wake them up if I keep going. But Tristan, you get the last point here. Is it bad I didn't even notice Rowney playing tonight? Well, here's I guess I pulled this up. Carter was also at the bottom when I was looking at the expected goals for percentages. And again, you can't only look at these numbers. This is just me. I started recording right after the shootout goal from Bobby Ryan. So take all of this with the tiniest little grain of salt. I think that works out for the saying if I put it that way. But this is just the quickest way that I can go, yeah, I didn't really notice Carter either. And his performance suggests that he never even had the puck based on a 28.06 expected goals for percentage, according to Evolving Hockey. So again, that number is incredibly low. I mean, when you get through an entire NHL season, guys are pretty much going to be at 50% plus or minus like 10%. And for it to be down at 28% really is, I mean, it tells the whole story of why we didn't notice him. And it's because every time he was on the ice, he was giving up more opportunities to his opponent. I'm not going to look too deep into that. I think I saw a lot of people had him slotted in as making the fourth line. I wouldn't say after this performance that's right or wrong, but it definitely doesn't get me excited for that prospect, I guess. So again, we'll just keep watching. I think that's the difference for me. Like with Cotton, I don't see him anywhere near the roster, and like I said, I mean that's a default on Cap Friendly is throwing Rowney in there. So and then I think maybe I don't want to put any words in Max Boltman's articles, but I think he might have slotted him in there. A couple of the other independent bloggers. But yeah, it just goes to show like maybe the different mentality you should have for these guys of who could sneak into the roster and, a bad performance statistically, what does that mean for the rest of the preseason games? And a guy like Cotton who just looked like he was over his head, but maybe should be. Put it that way. Everybody can't be Mo Sider. All right. Here we go. What am I missing here? No, this is Soap Dishes response. Sorry, this sounds terrible on the podcast. This is so stupid of me just reading through these comments. All right, here we go. He's 37. Turned the puck over once. He was like, who's that bum wearing Svetch's number? Oh, I thought you were saying he was age 37. All right. I got to wrap up because clearly I'm not reading these right anymore. Guys, thanks for watching. Let's sail off into the sunset. I do have to mention two quick things if you guys will bear with me here. One is that we're still doing our giveaway. So if you guys are interested, head on over to @BOD Hockey. This is our pinned tweet. We have 2 tickets to give away, Red Wings versus the Calgary Flames. So you have to go to BOD Hockey, @BOD Hockey, which is our Red Wings Rant Twitter account. Like and retweet our pinned post, follow us, and then tag who you're taking so that you'll be entered to win 2 tickets. And then, as we've always mentioned, we will have 2 different ways that you can get bonus entries. One is getting yourself involved in the comments. So anybody that was here and has also played the game of the tweet, you will you'll have a new entry. Also subscriptions. It gets you one entry. The other entry would be going over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and review, and make sure we can figure out who you are on the Apple Podcast review, so that we can associate your name on our Excel spreadsheet. So again, you have another entry. And I did get the confirmation from Max Boltman. He'll be on next week's episode. That'll be going live on October 6th. Or I'm sorry, the podcast will be available on October 6th, October 7th. Jesus. And then Max and I will be recording on, well, it doesn't matter when we're recording, but you guys will be able to watch it on the live feed going on October 6th. So that'll be YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. So that's where you can watch that. So it'll be a live outgoing video, but it'll already be previously recorded, but I'll be there to intro. It's complicated, but yeah, Max Boltman next week, and that'll be the episode that we announce the winners. So yeah, you guys want to come back next week. Fun conversation with Max. I'm assuming it hasn't happened yet, but I like my boys at the Athletic, and then yeah, stick around to see who wins a couple of tickets. So quick shout out, Tristan, Soapdish, Silver. Thank you guys for coming along. This was fun. We need to do more of these post games because they are an absolute blast. And I got to go back to, oh my God, I got to change my overlay here. There I am. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Remember, we're sponsored by DraftKings. Use promo code THPN. Get yourself some extras once you do finally log into DraftKings and get your account set up. Yeah, that's that. Go Wings! Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and check out top 5 questions. It'll be the other video, the top video on our channel right now. Top 5 questions we want answered this preseason. And if you could right now, if you're watching this, just hit that subscribe button for the channel. You won't miss a thing. You have some fun. You can chat along with Tristan, everybody that's coming along for the ride. Really appreciate it. And more giveaways to come as well, especially I got to do one for just the YouTube visitors here because I kind of feel left out for anybody that doesn't have a Twitter account. That'll be coming up right after we do that. So you want to subscribe so you don't miss that. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.